In the 1980s, the American funeral industry was rocked by a scandal so grotesque that it undermined public trust in an entire profession. What began as a small family funeral business in Pasadena turned into one of the most disturbing tales of corporate greed, disrespect for human dignity, and criminal activity ever uncovered. In 1982, David Wayne Sconce, then in his early 30s, took charge of the cremation operations at his family's business, the Lamb Funeral Home in Pasadena, California. The funeral home was established and respected for decades, but under David's direction, everything changed. What might have been a legitimate service to meet growing cremation demand quickly became a criminal enterprise. David realized that cremation was becoming more popular and that his parents' funeral home stood to profit, so he aggressively marketed their cremation services to other mortuaries, offering rock-bottom prices that others could not match. The scheme worked. Cremations handled by the family business skyrocketed from fewer than 200 per year to over 25,000 by 1985, an impossible jump that should have raised red flags. To handle such volume, David flouted every rule in the book. California law required cremations to be done one body at a time with full respect for the deceased's identity and dignity. Instead, he packed multiple bodies into a single cremation chamber, sometimes up to 15 at once, to move bodies through faster and maximize profit. Competitive employees even turned it into a grim game of who could fit the most bodies into a furnace. Families paid for individual cremations, expecting their loved ones' ashes to be returned intact. Instead, the ashes were commingled without regard for identity, meaning that urns contained fragments from multiple unrelated people. Many families had no idea until later lawsuits revealed the deception. But the violations didn't stop there. As investigators later uncovered, the operation also involved stealing valuables from corpses, including gold dental fillings and jewelry, which were sold for cash. Unauthorized removal and sale of human organs and tissues under a bogus eye and tissue bank, despite no consent from families. Falsifying consent forms and other legal documents to cover tracks. The scandal first came to light when authorities received complaints about dark smoke and a foul smell of burning flesh coming from a location Sconce had disguised as a ceramics plant. A local World War II veteran was among those who reported the unusual odor, something he said reminded him of concentration camps. That tip triggered a law enforcement investigation that uncovered mass cremations and body mishandling. Pasadena area morticians had already grown suspicious. Competitors noticed Sconce's outsized cremation volumes and lavish lifestyle, expensive cars, boats, and homes, which couldn't be explained by legitimate profits alone. Some spoke out, and in retaliation, Sconce allegedly hired men to assault rival funeral directors to silence them. By 1987, authorities arrested David and his parents, charging them with theft from human remains, mutilation of corpses, commingling cremains, and other related crimes. David eventually pleaded guilty in September 1989 to 21 criminal counts, including mishandling bodies and hiring goons, and was sentenced to 5 years in prison, though he served only a fraction before release. The criminal case had long-term consequences for both the Sconce family and the funeral industry. After his initial release, David's legal troubles didn't end. In the 1990s and 2000s, he faced additional charges, including a plot to assassinate a rival mortician and attempting to hire others to murder a prosecutor and even his own grandparents, allegations stemming from his desperate efforts to protect his criminal empire. In 2013, more than 2 decades after the original scandal, Sconce was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for violating probation and other offenses. He was paroled again in 2023, but his name remains tied to one of the most disturbing exploits in American mortuary history. Legal fallout also extended beyond criminal court. Thousands of families whose loved ones were cremated through the Lamb operation joined class action lawsuits against the defendants and associated mortuaries, claiming emotional and financial damages for mishandled remains and deceit. The scandal highlighted systemic regulatory weaknesses. At the time, state oversight of crematories and funeral homes was minimal, allowing unscrupulous operators to hide illegal practices for years. Since then, stricter licensing and inspection requirements have been implemented to protect families and ensure ethical compliance. But beyond policy changes, the human cost is staggering. Countless grieving families unknowingly scattered ashes that were not their own, had valuables stolen from their deceased loved ones, or faced the shock of discovering that their funeral provider had become a criminal enterprise. The betrayal goes beyond financial harm. It cut to the core of personal loss and dignity. David's case serves as both a cautionary tale and a moral challenge. How society treats the dead reflects how it values the living. Grave misconduct at the end of life not only violates laws but damages collective trust. In a world driven by profit, the dignity of human life and death must be protected above all else. The Lamb Funeral Home scandal remains one of the most horrifying breaches of trust in modern mortuary history. It underscores the need for vigilance, regulation, and ethical integrity in industries handling life's most sacred moments, reminding us that dignity should never be sacrificed for profit.
Narrativia, where words weaves wonders.
Like, share, and follow for more.
This content was generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence for storytelling, narration, and visual presentation purposes. While care has been taken to provide an engaging and informative experience, some elements may be dramatized or simplified. The video is intended for entertainment and general educational use only. Viewers are encouraged to enjoy the presentation and independently verify facts, conduct their own personal research, and form their own conclusions. The creator assumes no responsibility for interpretations or actions taken based on this content. Thank you.